Interpretations of the Unknown Wilderness is the debut full-length album from Antagonyze, a Concepcion, Chile-based death metal quartet who started out with a demo tape in 2020, Echoes from the Soul. Now, this has been marked as a full-length online. It was not a full-length. It was definitely a demo tape. It was very limited in release, and it was just a preamble for what this record does here in 2024. The band didn't really start to develop this album until 2022, and by that time the members had changed beyond the point of that demo. If you're interested in that demo tape, it had sort of a Leprosy style kick to the drums, which were probably programmed. I couldn't really tell. Very simple arrangements, and it had extra keyboard and progressive death metal touches, which reminded me of maybe the very earliest releases from Septic Flesh, although not as sophisticated in some ways. With the context of that demo tape, we can expect this album to be adventurous, ambitious, and approaching a lot, still finding themselves. Essentially, this is a soul-searching album, and it's still finding their sound, essentially. What that means is that there are elements of progressive death metal, of death thrash metal. There's a bit of shred in here. There's a much stronger bass technique overall, and we'll cut into a song here just to get the general size of things. So this band was formed with old school death metal in mind, and you can tell the way that they generally compose each piece on this record. Now, technique and all that really adds to the effect of each of these songs, but you can tell that this is an underground death metal release. This is just a band kind of starting out and now fully getting a sense of their place in the band and their contributions to each song. This means that the bassist stands out quite a bit more here. He's developed quite a lot of technique over the last several years. That really stands out as the approach. So essentially, this album is pretty much unfocused. I think the demo was even more unfocused. This record is still a little bit hard to follow. There is a thrash metal affect to the first half of the record. There is more of a progressive death metal touch to the second half, although they focus a bit more on shredding and developing a style that has sort of a primitive but sophisticated touch to it, which if you remember bands like Mortify and stuff like that, maybe those bands focus more on getting the rhythms right, and this band is just the juxtaposition of ideas works here for them, and they carry it through with a pretty solid death metal album. It does a lot that is maybe too ambitious along the way, but they get it out there and it works. Like I said, this is an unfocused record in a lot of ways, but it's not a bad one. It has this interesting, almost kind of like quasi-virtuosic touch to it, which it reminds me of a record like a Toxodeath or something like that, and appreciating how there was some really good playing on there, but the production values weren't quite right. Or there were some really sophisticated early progressive death metal touches to it, but other parts felt like they were pulled from a speed metal album. So that's kind of the effect I get from this record, is that it's not quite ready, but it still works, and I like that. I like that raw side of underground death metal, and when a band sticks out like that, there's nothing but promise for their future. When they do work out some of the more fundamental aspects of pulling it all together, it will be more effective once they get there. So this is a first step of many to come, but I think that it makes for an entertaining death metal record, and one that I enjoyed quite a bit getting to know, and I think it really improves upon a lot of what they were trying to convey on their demo tape. Well worth checking out. This is a moderately high recommendation from me. I wouldn't say it is the be-all end-all of what you're going to experience in death metal this month, but it is definitely one of the more interesting, different, not such a status quo type thing. So I'd like to hear more from this band. I'd like to see what they do next and what they can manage beyond this point, because this already has the right idea. Check this out if you're a fan of that. It comes out on the 18th of April through Chaos Records. Go ahead and listen to some of the clips on the site while you read the review.
Russian violence and die.